Wizard of Oz from 1939 is one of my all-time favorite films, which is saying a lot because I am not the kind of person that likes musicals. And unfortunately, I never really got around to reviewing that first Wicked movie. But after that cliffhanger where the end credits roll on Elphaba's Defying Gravity, great song by the way, I think that we all kind of had that same thought. What happens now? We saw Elphaba embrace her power and we're left with Glinda forced to put on a brave face for Oz. That cliffhanger was brutal. I went down a whole rabbit hole afterwards, looking into the play and seeing how things played out. Now, after seeing Wicked for good, it doesn't just fill the gaps. It takes the story that we thought that we knew, flips it on its head, and suggests that the melting of this wicked witch wasn't an ending. It was really just the beginning of a much more complicated story. I want to talk about how this movie brilliantly rewrites the entire myth of Oz. But first, just to get it out the way, because I didn't get to review that first movie, let me just say that the casting is perfect. I love Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. I think that Ariana Grande absolutely bodies the role of Glinda. They are the anchors of a story that weaves itself so effectively. But by the end of this, and after seeing the movie, I promise you will never see the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, or even Glinda the Good in the same way ever again. We're doing our best in keeping it spoiler free today, but let's get into this very different look at the story of Oz. Wicked for Good opens on an Oz that has been completely transformed. Elphaba's public enemy number one, branded the Wicked Witch of the West by a propaganda machine run by Madame Morrible and the Wizard. The streets are filled with citizens who are singing about her destruction, all fueled by very nasty rumors. And it's a chilling look at how easily a narrative can really be twisted and how deeply hated Elphaba has become. Though the film does lay this on pretty thick in the opening and throughout the movie. You saw the ending of the last one. And who is the face of this new Oz? Well, it's Glinda. Of course, she has leaned really hard into her role as Glinda the Good, becoming the smiling symbol of the regime. And honestly, this is where I was getting real pissed off with Glinda, because her choice to seemingly turn a blind eye to the corruption, it was just very frustrating to watch, to say the least. It was really hard for me to understand her motives, seemingly making her complicit in the scheme. She's not a villain by any means, but she's certainly not all good either. Her life is all public appearances and glamour, but underneath, she is trapped. And Ariana Grande absolutely sells this inner conflict that the character has. Every perfect posture and polite smile, it feels like this mask that's hiding her turmoil and her guilt. Glinda knows that Elphaba is an evil, and yet she's complicit in the entire charade. Her desperate need for public adoration has backed her into a corner. And while we see her fall for Fiyero, pretty obvious that bro's not about her. This isn't the simple and purely good witch from that 1939 classic. This is a complex, compromised woman. The film immediately sets a darker, more serious tone, even showing us the grim reality of the Yellow Brick Road's construction, which does give immediate weight to Elphaba's fight. Let us talk about some of these icons though. This is where Wicked for Good really got me. It starts connecting the dots, revealing the origins of these three figures at the heart of Dorothy's journey. And I have to say too, I really enjoyed seeing Dorothy being incorporated into all of this, even if her face is never fully shown. But they seemingly use Judy Garland's likeness, which feels like a very respectful cameo and shows that the creators, they aren't just fans of the play, but they also love and respect that original movie, which I really appreciated. But the stories of these three iconic figures are not fairy tales at all. They are heartbreaking tragedies born from this political corruption of Oz. Take the Tin Man, for example. The film reveals his desperate need for a heart stems from a horrifying incident involving a spell gone wrong. His origin is a heartbreaking tragedy born from a misguided love and jealousy, and you realize that he's been tragically manipulated into hunting someone who really was only trying to help him out. Then there is The Cowardly Lion. The film gives a new context on his famous lack of courage, and it's not just a personality trait that he has. It's a deep-seated scar that's left by a traumatic encounter with the Wizard's cruel regime. I also think it's kind of stupid, but we'll get to that. And finally, the Scarecrow. This is a reveal that turns the whole story on its head, really. The explanation for how the Scarecrow came to be, it's tied directly to Elphaba's past in a way that reframes her great love story into something I think that was truly legendary. He's not just some friend that Dorothy meets on the road. He is a lot more than that, hiding his identity in plain sight. beyond this amazing story, and I think it really is amazing, we do have to talk about the spectacle of the film. It's really cool because this feels like a Broadway show brought to life with a cinematic budget. The set pieces are massive and practical, from the gleaming and almost sterile public squares of the Emerald City to this dark industrial undertone of the Wizard's regime. And when the ensemble numbers kick in with crowds of Oz citizens singing, it doesn't feel stagey, and instead it becomes this very immersive and epic experience, which I really appreciated that too. The performances though, that is what anchors it all. We've already talked about Ariana Grande's incredible turn as Glinda. I mean, she was perfect for the role, and she really perfectly captured that tightrope walk between ambition and guilt. But the entire cast brings a theatrical energy that really sells the high stakes of the story. The singing is great, but it's the acting through those singing numbers that really expand the lore, turning big musical moments into raw emotional confessions. This isn't just a movie with songs, it's a full-blown movie musical that really embraces its stage roots, using grand production design and powerful performances to make Oz feel a lot more real and lived in than anything else that has dealt with the world. Now, as much as I adored this movie, it wasn't completely flawless. There were a few small things that didn't quite land for me, but by no means are they film ruining either. For one though, it is the music. While it was consistently good and really emotionally resonant, I don't think that it really has that show-stopping power of the first film. The songs served the story beautifully, but I didn't walk away with an anthem that was stuck in my head the same way I did with Defying Gravity. Absolute banger, and you can't convince me otherwise. Also, compared to the gut punch origins for the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, the explanation for why the lion is cowardly, it feels a little bit underdeveloped. Not too much time is focused on him and what happens. I guess you could put two and two together yourself, but the explanation that they do give, I just thought was stupid. I thought it was stupid, especially when anything that is to blame about the situation falls on Elphaba. It just, I don't know, that part felt lazy to me. And once Dorothy is introduced, the pace of the movie seems to speed up dramatically. The plot kicks into overdrive, kind of aligned with the story that we all know. But I will admit that this might be a personal fault, because my brain kept trying to make it canon with that 1939 film as opposed to the original books, where the pacing might feel a little bit more natural. The film's emotional core though remains the fractured friendship between Elphaba and Glinda, which is pushed to its absolute breaking point. There is a lapse in judgment from Glinda that's intended to lure Elphaba out of hiding. It leads to very devastating consequences and what seems to be a final and irreparable break between them. And with Dorothy's arrival, things start to escalate so much further, especially concerning a certain family heirloom. All of this really culminates in a moment that we've all been waiting for: the melting of the witch. But the film completely recontextualizes that event, suggesting that it really wasn't a defeat, but it was something far more complex and even a bit strategic. The aftermath leaves Glinda heartbroken, but resolved to finally really become Glinda the Good, while a final and stunning twist redefines the meaning of Elphaba's fate. So what does this all mean? Well, it means that the story of the Wizard of Oz is no longer a simple tale of good versus evil. It's now the aftermath of a political tragedy. The Scarecrow isn't just looking for a brain, he's a transformed figure with a hidden identity. The Tin Man isn't just looking for a heart, he's a wronged man that's tricked into a witch hunt. And the Cowardly Lion is he's just a victim of a cruel regime. And the witches? Well, Glinda the Good becomes a compromised leader, left to rule with the painful knowledge of her own moral failures. And the Wicked Witch of the West, the film argues that she was never really wicked at all. She was a revolutionary, an animal activist really, so thoroughly vilified that her only path to freedom was to escape the narrative that was forced on her. Wicked for Good doesn't just add to the myth of Oz, it really deepens it, it saddens it, and it makes it infinitely more powerful. The story has truly been changed for good. If you couldn't tell, this gets a high recommendation from me, man. This is 9 out of 10. Movie that really does deserve to be experienced on the big screen. I had such a good time watching this. Let me know, what are your thoughts? Did seeing Wicked for Good change how you view the original Wizard of Oz? It did for me. Let me know your theories and your reactions in the comments below. I tried something a little bit new, a little different for me today. Let me know if you could tell. But I appreciate you very much for watching. Thank you for sticking around. Hit that like and subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the future content. But y'all stay geek, man. I'm out. Be smooth.